Well, it's the big breaking news development that we've been tracking this Sunday morning. An AirAsia flight from the Indonesian city of Surabaya to Singapore has reportedly gone missing. The flight lost contact with the air traffic control at around 7:24 a.m. this morning. That is what the official statement by AirAsia is in fact saying. That is around 4:47 Indian time. Now, AirAsia has confirmed that the aircraft has in fact gone missing. AirAsia tweeted this morning that it regrets to confirm that QZ8501 from Surabaya to Singapore has lost contact at 7:24 hours this morning. According to reports, the flight number QZ8501 had asked for an unusual route before it lost contact. The aircraft, reportedly an Airbus A320, has at least 155 people on board. No Indians are on board that aircraft. Most of the passengers are believed to be Indonesians. Now, according to reports, 3 passengers are Koreans, and the manifest has 1 each from Singapore, UK and Malaysia. If the worst is confirmed, flight 8501 will be the 3rd Malaysian carrier to go down this year after MH370 and MH17. Just to get some perspective on this big story that we're tracking, joining me live at this point in time is my colleague Pankaj Upadhyay. Pankaj, we understand that there are sketchy details emerging at this point in time, but the official statement of Air India, of AirAsia, I beg your pardon, is confirming that QZ8501 from Indonesia to Singapore lost contact with the ATC at 7:24 hours this morning.
That's right, Rishika. Sketchy information, right? And unfortunate as it may be in today's time when every aircraft is there with advanced technology, it's very hard to understand that how can a plane just lose contact with the ATC. But right now what we are learning is that such operations are already on. The plane is being searched for. The satellite imagery is being downloaded to search for the exact location. What we are also learning is that the aircraft was asking for a descent to a very low altitude due to turbulence. And then it asked, as the minister there said, for an unusual route. But let me put this to some sort of a perspective for the understanding of the viewers, Rishik. What ideally happens is whenever a flight is there in the skies, it gets in touch with the ATC with something called a squawk code. Now, this helps the ATC identify on the radar the location, the speed, every minute details of the aircraft. Now, supposing that location has been lost, then in today's time, to understand, every country is divided into sectors, and the pilot can get in touch with the ATC through the radio frequencies as well. We have the VHF and we have the HF as well. That is impossible for any aircraft to just suddenly disappear and the ground communication not knowing. We have these satellite images going everywhere. Now, as far as the plane is concerned, there is something called a transponder. Yes, it can happen that the transponder is intentionally switched off, as perhaps was thought to have been done with MH370. If that is done, then that is the real danger as well. But let us also understand, when we are talking about transponder being intentionally switched off, it's not as if there is a single button that has to be simply just switched off and all the communication will go. The plane, because of the satellite connections, will leave some sort of a trail as well. So in that situation, if something intentionally has been done, even the transponder would be crushed down completely. So it's like completely hypothetical that you're talking about. If that happens, then it really is a kind of a very serious thing that could have really happened. Perhaps let us also understand there could have been a bird hit as well on the transponder, and pilots supposedly not being aware of such an incident that has happened. But then we are also learning that the aircraft did get in touch with the ATC. It was asking for a descent on a lower altitude. So right now it's very hard to say what perhaps could really have happened. But then, as I said, in today's time, every country, every sector is there, and it's practically impossible for an aircraft to just suddenly disappear because of the technology that we really have at hand. And lastly, if I may also add, in a scenario where your transponder fails, where you're not able to get in touch with the VHF as well, there are satellite phones as well, wherein the pilot can easily get in touch with the company officials. So right now there is no clarity, sketchy information, as you rightly pointed out. And
okay, Pankaj, what you're essentially saying is that the initial report suggests that the flight was in fact flying at a low altitude because the pilot had communicated turbulence. That is what you're essentially saying. But also what Pankaj is informing us at this point in time is that there is not just the ATC but several other ways through which the aircraft can in fact be tracked. But in this this case, the Transport Ministry officials said that the aircraft flight number QZ8501 in question at this point in time lost contact with the Jakarta Air Traffic Control, which was later confirmed by AirAsia. AirAsia also saying that at present, this is in fact from the official press release of AirAsia that I am quoting, that at present time we unfortunately have no information regarding the status of passengers and crew members on board, but will keep all parties informed as more information in fact trickles in. So search and rescue operations, Pankaj, are in progress. What are you hearing on that front?
Emergency line, which we are continuously flashing on the ticker as well. I would again like to repeat, that's 622129850801. Additionally to that, AirAsia website is giving out all the details. It is flashing the emergency numbers as well. This is Indonesia, as you rightly pointed out, QZ8501. Its registration number is PKAXC. Now, Rishika, it is an Airbus 320-200, a sophisticated airplane, you know, with all the modern gadgetry in it, right from the radio frequencies, all satellite phones, transponder working fine. So this is not like any, worn-out plane. This is a modern plane that is equipped with all the modern gadgetry. So really very unfortunate this incident has taken place, and very, very hard to believe that all of a sudden that the aircraft would just lose contact with the ATC. We are learning through our sources that right now, since there was some sort of a contact that was made by the aircraft with the ATC, it is fine. They are trying to get sort of a satellite imagery to ascertain the exact position, because as I repeat, even at times when the pilot would lose touch with the ATC definitely is in a position to find out the exact location of the aircraft, and in such a scenario, it separates the rest of the aircraft so that it can have a visual landing as well. But if in case, unfortunate, it should not happen, but if in case the scenario is that the transponder has been switched off on purpose, then this gets a serious scenario.
All right. The airline has, remember, given out an emergency helpline number. It is flashing on the ticker on headlines today. The number is +6221 29850801. That is the emergency number that has been put out by AirAsia. The flight, remember, was scheduled to reach Singapore at 8:30 a.m. Singapore time. And what AirAsia is confirming to us at this point in time via press release that they have issued is that at 7:24 a.m. the flight in fact lost all contact and communication with the air traffic control. What we're also learning, Pankaj, interestingly at this point in time, is that in fact, via social media, there are a lot of reports that are suggesting that there was a thunderstorm in Surabaya, which, remember, is the place in Indonesia where the flight took off from, Pankaj, which would perhaps explain why the flight was flying at a low altitude, as you've been talking, and the pilot, as you've been telling us, in fact, did communicate to the ATC that they are flying at a low altitude because of turbulence.
Rishika, even as we are trying to put this to some sort of a perspective, as far as the statement has come in, which says that the aircraft was asking to descend on a lower altitude due to turbulence, and then asking for the unusual route. Now, this really needs to be probed further by the authorities there. But what was this unusual route that they were really talking about? It was asking for a lower altitude. Was there a bird hit, which this has not been confirmed as of now? And perhaps, if at all there was a bird hit on the nose where the transponder is fixed, which really gives the traffic alert and the collision alerts to the pilot and the ATC, then this is the current situation, perhaps which was not really aware by the pilot. So this is one area, which has which really needs some sort of a clarity. Otherwise, as I maintained,
well, absolutely, Pankaj. As you've been pointing out, all of this is just in the realm of speculations. We'd also like to clarify that to our viewers that there are very sketchy details emerging at this point in time. The only confirmation that we have is the official press statement that has been released by the AirAsia officials. AirAsia Indonesia is confirming that flight QZ8501 from Surabaya to Singapore lost contact with the ATC at 7:24 hours this morning. At present, the airline confirms that they have no information regarding the status of the passengers or crew members on board, but their website and their Twitter handle is sending out constant updates. Search and rescue operations are in progress. AirAsia is cooperating and fully assisting the rescue service, is what the press release says. Also on your screens is the number that has been set up, the emergency helpline number that has been set up by AirAsia. +6221 1298 500801 is that emergency number, and this is going to continue to remain one of our top focus stories. We don't know what exactly is the fate of the 152 passengers on board at this point in time. Sketchy details emerging. It's going to continue to remain our top focus story. Pankaj Upadhyay is going to continue to track developments on this story. Thanks, Pankaj, for joining us at this point in time.